Good morning, my name is Richard Walker and I'm the Happiness Doctor. Well, I say good morning because I've just come from a breakfast meeting and I really like networking, and that's what I've been doing this morning at this breakfast meeting. And what I'm fond of saying at breakfast meetings and at various networking meetings, I'll say something like, there's only one problem that we have. In fact, I repeat this to anyone who'll listen. There's usually only one problem that any of us really have. And we just keep recycling it into different parts of our lives. But of course, and here's the other thing, that problem goes unseen. It's kind of hidden. So we're usually fixing the wrong problem. So I was chatting with one guy, and he sells a technical service for business. I said, well, and he's just thinking of retiring. He's just about to retire. He's a young chap. He's retiring early. He's just 60. And so I thought, well, he'll be in that frame of mind where he'll be thinking about his future. So I said, well, do you mind if I ask you a few personal questions? And he agreed. It's surprising how often people do. And I said, well, can I ask you what's important to you about what you do? And this demonstrates, this one with demonstrating the point that I'm trying to make. He said, well, and here's the list, okay? I just wrote it down on a piece of paper while we're chatting, so I just wonder if you can see that. And the first thing on the list was freedom to do what I want. And then the next thing says lack of financial restraint, opportunity to do good. My writing's great, isn't it? Decent relationship at home. We'd all like one of those. And by that he meant his partner. He didn't have children. And being comfortable where I am. No angry neighbours, etc. You know, because you might wonder what that meant until I asked him. He said, no angry neighbours. Now that's interesting, okay? So then I asked him to list them in order, 1, 2, 3. So what did we get there? Let me just see. Number 1 was the decent relationship at home. And number 2, freedom to do what I want. 3, being comfortable where I am. Yeah. Can you let me see if you can just see that? 1, 2, 3. So, and now this is the only time I recommend you ask someone why they do something, and it's in connection with values. Excuse my finger, I've hit it with a hammer. Decent relationship at home. So I said, why is a decent relationship at home important to you? Now you might think, what a stupid question. I mean, everybody wants a decent relationship at home. But you're assuming you know what this person means. So I asked him, why is it important to you? And he said, well, you know, I don't like it when there's aggravation, difficulties, which doesn't feel good, does it? Now, so decent relationship at home, and he's answering about aggravation. You start to see how this looks like this one? No angry neighbours, etc. Can you start to see how we're getting commonalities? Now, so I asked him, so what's the problem with aggravation? Now, again, you might think, well, what do you mean nobody wants aggravation? He said, well, now here's his answer. He said, well, it's kind of a waste of time, isn't it? Now, isn't that interesting? It's a waste of time. It's not efficient. You're not getting things done. Waste of time. And let me see. Inefficient. That's right. Waste of time. So now I just took a punt because we only had 10 minutes to chat. So I said, well, is it then about, could I just ask, throw this away a bit, isn't it? Is it about being like Thomas the Tank, a really useful engine? You don't like it if you're not being really useful. And his eyes lit up. He said, yeah, that's the kind of thing. I said, yeah, I totally get that. It's not dissimilar from one of my own motivations. So I said, and if you're really useful, that kind of justifies you, makes us feel good, doesn't it? I mean, you know, if you're really useful, it justifies I'm good, I'm worthwhile. Now, this is the point I'm making. I'm worthwhile is, and I'm not saying this was exactly his issues, because I'm using it as an illustration, but there's only one problem. It's about proving how good I am, how worthwhile I am. That will underpin all the other difficulties you have in life. And somehow or other it will even relate to lack of financial restraint, which might mean I don't believe in my ability to make money, or which might mean something like, well, you know, I must do the right thing because I must prove that I'm kind of worthy, that I'm really useful, which maybe means I don't do things that I like, I do things that I should do, and so I end up doing something that I'm really good at. And frankly, now this guy's retiring and doing what he really wants, which is about woodworking, his face lights up, he's totally into that. which is why I say that happiness is really the only one problem you're dealing with. There's only one issue. It's what's the one thing which, if you fix that, it would change everything. And honestly, if you do change it, and that's the work I do, I fix that one thing, which is a feeling, and everything else will shift, whether it's finance, whether it's relationships at home, whether that's family, whether that's your partner, whether it's business, it's always the one thing. And interestingly, I spoke to another lady at the meeting just afterwards, and she'd done some work in connection with, she'd seen a hypnotherapist and was working on I think it was in connection with weight, amongst other things. And I said to her, look, what I do is I really get to the root of things, which is what I've just been explaining. You know, because some people throw, when I first learned, and it's like many hypnotherapists do, they throw all the techniques at you, you know, and actually there's only one thing, one thing to fix. And that's getting to the root of things. And that's what I mean by getting to the root of things. Get to the root and the problem is fixed. If you don't get to the root, there's no guarantee that the problem will remain nailed, will remain fixed forever. She said, I wish I'd met you before. Well, that's very nice, isn't it? It's nice to be a really useful engine. Ha ha, you see? I hope that explains a little about the core of what I'm about. Have a great day, as they say. Bye for now.